All right, the Cleveland Browns have added a speedster into a place where I can make an argument that they desperately needed one. At some point, you got to stretch the field. And I know they have players that can stretch the field. They just do it in a different way. So I'm really excited about this newest UDFA. Every year, there's a UDFA or two that comes out and absolutely surprises us. And every once in a while, there's UDFA that you're just surprised was available. Like, just what were. So this is one that I think is a surprise that is available. All right, so the Cleveland Browns have added Amarion Brown. He was expected to sign and already spoke of his excitement, so we knew he was coming in. He actually said right here, to learn from those receivers is special. He's now talking about the Cleveland Browns wide receivers. Amari Cooper is obviously one of the best route runners who's been in the league quite a while and has been Mr. Consistent. Jerry Jeudy, we've seen even at Alabama, the routes that he can run and the way he gets separation is amazing. Just to learn from those guys, man, I can't wait. And here's the thing about Amarion Brown. Now, he doesn't have the height. I totally understand that, right? But he has something that neither of those guys have. And that is absolute jetpacks on his feet. All right, he's got boosters. Now, if you look at his athletic profile overall, it's mediocre. But there's a couple things that absolutely stand out to me. All right, and I'll show you what stands out to me. One, he's got a 6.31, even though his size is absolutely poor. Now, for being a very small human, his bench reps were actually really impressive. Like the fact that he put up the bench, he benched it 15 times. Like he's got some strength in there. The other thing that stood out to me was his speed was absolutely elite. And he had both good short speed and good long speed. Now, when you're 5'8", it's pretty easy to have decent short speed. Get out quick, you get those little legs chopping, and there you go. But it's not easy to continue through the rest of the 40 and not lose ground to the long striders. The Jamison Williams of the world, the Xavier Worthies of the world. He was fantastic both in his short and in his 40-yard dash. He did not lose much. That, to me, is what gives you a legitimate deep threat. We've seen smaller guys like this that go to work, they start putting in a ton of effort, and then their speed ends up getting them to be decent wide receivers. They start as return men. They start as guys you put in to spread the field, things like that. I'm talking about guys like Khalif Raymond, right? I'm even talking about guys like Tyreek Hill. Now, he's not as fast as Tyreek. He's not Tyreek. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there are guys that we didn't think were going to be good receivers that ended up being good contributors or very good receivers on NFL rosters. There's also guys that had a bunch of speed that ended up being nothing on NFL rosters. So why am I excited about his quote? Why am I excited about the fact that he's talking about Amari Cooper? Look, every rookie says, I'm excited to get in there and I'm excited to play. Like, duh. But he actually proved that he knew what was going on. He talked about Amari Cooper being a phenomenal route runner and Mr. Consistent. He talked about Jerry Jeudy. We've talked about playing at Alabama and the routes that he could run. And what he's saying in this is, I got speed. Those guys know how to run routes. I'm fast, but those guys are more successful than me. I need to see what they're doing, and I need to implement that into my game. And if I have that plus speed, I think he can be a good wide receiver. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, does he fit somewhere in this wide receiver room? All right, and he's not even listed yet on PFF. But I think of this room as being a bunch of guys, not named Amari Cooper, who have been underwhelming at this point. Amari Cooper is a model of consistency. Jerry Jeudy has been oft injured and has never fully put it together. Could you argue that it was a situational problem? You can. You absolutely can in Denver. But the fact is, he's yet to put it together. Even last year, 62nd. He's not a 62nd route runner, that's for sure, with PFF score. That's for sure. All right, you bring in Jamari Thrash. I think he is a guy that actually reminds me of Amari Cooper. Like, I think he's not everything that Cooper is, but he's a good understudy for him. Elijah Moore, really excited to see what he could have been. He just didn't quite do it. right? He didn't do it last year. He didn't consistently get open. He couldn't consistently get on the same page with the wide receivers. You even think with Flacco, they had experience together. Flacco threw him the ball like in his first game like 12, 14 times. He came away with 4 catches. Like, that's not good. And then Cedric Tillman, big body, slow. So honestly, when you look at the wide receiver room, it's not bad. Like, there's enough talent there to have success, but at the same time, it is kind of underwhelming in the back end. So it's kind of interesting to me. Beyond Cooper and Judy, right? And I would even say Thrash. Who is going and fighting for those last spots? Like, are you just going to hand it to David Bell? Are you? Are you just going to hand it to Tillman? Are you even going to just hand it to Elijah Moore? I don't think you just hand it to them. Thrash is making this team. They drafted him for a reason. But I don't think you can just hand over the keys to this team from somebody else. So there's going to be an opportunity, and there's a good chance they keep 6. So my 6 for my money are Cooper, Judy, Thrash, Moore, and then 2 of the following: David Bell, Cedric Tillman, and why not? Like, why not go with Amarion Brown? Maybe he can be a good punt returner for you. Maybe he doesn't really, the new kick return rules don't suit him as well. That's more of a running back thing, I think, now. It'll be very interesting to see how people utilize this. But, like, in a punt return situation, he could be fantastic in this. Yeah, I think he's got a shot. He's got an outside shot. It's not, perfect, but he absolutely has an outside shot, and he's not a bad player at all. When you look at his just simple scouting report, if you want to know a little bit more about him, now I'll read some of this, but also my thoughts when I'm watching him. Good straight line speed. Didn't see a lot of complex routes. I didn't. And part of that was because a lot of what I was watching was from when he was really young at Georgia Tech, and that was a really simple offense, transferring over from that, triple option or whatever they were running before. But I saw a guy who did a really good job of following and catching the ball over his shoulder, had good hands. I saw a guy who could run in full stride and still do what he had to do. His strengths on this, it says, showed impressive speed at the Pro Day. He scored 7 touchdowns on 21 catches as a deep threat at Georgia Tech. Talent as a gadget option for jet sweeps and quick game throws. I agree. Slippery with the ability to dart in and out and elude tacklers. Ability to race around, contain as a punt returner. All the stuff we talked about. All right. Smallish frame. Durability is a concern. Not a winner on contested catches. Below average route runner. All right. With a small catch radius. It's true. It's exactly what he is. All right. But sometimes those guys have a place. I'm not saying he's going to be a stud here. I'm just saying he might have a place on the roster. All right. Hope you like it. Keep watching here for more Browns content. We want to be one of your go-to sources for Cleveland Browns. Hit that subscribe button. We are pushing 15,000 subs. Love seeing it. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next one.